live.
Great. Thank you so much, Dallas. Good evening, everyone. We are here for a virtual live stream neighborhood meeting regarding the Irwin Thomas some planning applications. Can I have my presentation, please? All right, thank you so much. So there are um, four planning applications being proposed for the area known as the Irwin Thomas number 2 annexation. This is a virtual live stream meeting. It is being recorded and will be available for future viewing on the City of Longmont's YouTube channel for those who might be interested but weren't able to tune in live. Next slide. So this evening we have with us a number of people who are going to be discussing this project. As I mentioned, my name is Jennifer Hewitt-Apperson. I am a principal planner with the City of Longmont Planning Department. With us this evening is Kristen Cody, who is a senior planner who has been working on this project. We also have Carolyn Michael, who is our traffic engineer, as well as Josh Sherman, who is our Public Works Natural Resources Administrator. And as always, we have Dallas Stiles, who is our live stream specialist extraordinaire, who keeps everything running smoothly. From the applicant team, we have Barb Brunk, we have Reggie Golden, Drew Golden, Brian Williamson. And if I missed anyone, I do apologize. So in terms of our overview and format, this is, as I mentioned, a live stream meeting. So city staff, me, will give an overview of the project and specifically the processes that will be necessary for this to come to fruition. The project team, the project applicant, will then discuss the details of the proposals. At which point, we will discuss again the next steps in terms of the process. And then we will have time for public comments and questions. If you've never done a live stream meeting, we basically have a 5-minute period where we take a break and a call-in number is on the screen. And you will have the opportunity to call that number and get in line to ask questions and make comments. And we will let you in one speaker at a time. Next slide. So in terms of overview, this meeting is regarding about 209 acres of property just east of the Costco. So basically it's going to be north of Quail Road, west of 119th Street, east of Harvest Moon, and south of 119. Contemplated for this property are a land use amendment, so an Envision Longmont land use amendment, a concept plan amendment, a rezoning, and a final development plan for the gravel mining amendment. Next slide. So as I mentioned on House for the public comment period, we will be taking questions and comments after the presentations. As I mentioned, we'll take a 5-minute break during which people can call in. And we do ask that you mute the live stream when speaking to avoid feedback. And these instructions will also be posted when we get to that part of the meeting as well. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the property in question is generally located east of Harvest Moon, south of Ken Pratt, west of North 119th Street, and north of Quail Road. It is the property immediately to the east of the Costco and the various projects going on there. Next slide. So the location of this property it's a portion of the Irwin Thomas annexation number 1, not the number 2 as I originally stated. That was a misspeak on my part. The property owner is Diamond G Concrete and Golden Land. The applicant in this case will be Diamond G Concrete Company. As mentioned previously, there are 4 applications that are going to be required for this particular project: a land use amendment, a concept plan amendment, rezoning, and final development plan. Next slide. So for contact purposes, you can reach out to me, to Don Burchett or Kristen Cody, for questions from the city side. Barb Brunk is the applicant contact. Our contact information will also be available at the end of this presentation. So in terms of our processes, we are basically we are at the neighborhood meeting. So first there was a pre-application conference with city staff. For any project requiring public hearing, we are required to do a neighborhood meeting. So this is where we are. Following the neighborhood meeting, the applicant will be able to submit applications. There will be mailed notice of the application as well as posting of the property with notice signs. At which point the application is submitted and accepted. It would then be referred through the city review process. So it would go through review by our development review committee, which includes representatives from public works, from public safety, from parks, from quite a number of city departments. We take a really robust and comprehensive look at all development proposals that come into the city. It would also be referred to any outside agencies as needed. In this case, CDOT would probably be an agency that reviews this project as well. Once the review process is completed, it would then be referred to go through the public hearing process. So in the case of all these application types for this project, it would first go to a public hearing by the Planning and Zoning Commission, who would then make a recommendation to City Council. Prior to Planning and Zoning Commission, there would be an additional round of notices mailed, more signs posted. There would also be notice in the newspaper. Once the Planning and Zoning Commission has made their recommendation, City Council would then hold their public hearings. It would go through two meetings at City Council, what's called a first reading and then a second reading, which is where the public hearing happens. That is when the public would have the opportunity to make comment to City Council. Public comment would also be permissible at the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. Next slide. So in terms of notices, this is everyone who received notice of this application. So in terms of these large scale applications, all property owners within a 1,000-foot radius of the affected property are noticed, receive mailed notices regarding the neighborhood meetings, the application under review, and the public hearings. Next slide. All right, with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Barb, who will talk in more detail about the plans for this property.
Thank you, Jennifer. Again, I'm Barb Brunk with Resource Conservation Partners. I'm going to talk through the applications, and then the rest of our team will be here to answer questions at the end after Jennifer is finished with the presentation. So, as Jen said, we are going to amend the envisioned Longmont land use plan to reconfigure the land use designations on a portion of the property located east of Harvest Moon Drive and amend the concept plan to match the land use amendment. We're going to rezone the property in two phases. The mining is moving forward and a portion of the site is nearing completion of mining and reclamation. So the two-phased approach is to remove a portion of the property from the mining boundary so that it can be developed and leave the rest to be finished. And then when the mining, everything south of the highway is mined and reclaimed, then we would also rezone the rest of the property. We're also going to amend the FTP for gravel mining. And again, that would be to remove the portion that's mined and reclaimed from the FTP so it can be developed. And then once the rest of the ground south of the highway is mined and reclaimed, that would be removed from the FDP. The portions of the highway north of the site north of the highway will remain in the FDP until they're mined and reclaimed. Next slide. This is a land use plan. So again, the land use amendment is within the area within the black dash line. The land uses are basically reconfigured. It's the same land uses, they're different shapes and different sizes as part of this. So again, it's to allow a portion of the property to develop as the mining and reclamation are complete. Next slide. So this is a comparison of the existing land use map and the proposed land use map. On the left is the existing land use, and you can see it's mixed neighborhood, mixed use corridor, and single family residential. What we're doing is reconfiguring the shape of the mixed use corridor, adding some mixed neighborhood to the east of the existing mixed neighborhood, and then the remainder of the property will remain single family neighborhood. So the land use table here shows the difference in the acreages. There's a little less in the proposed mixed use corridor, there's a little more in the mixed neighborhood, and there's a little less in the single family. Next slide. So we're also amending the Irwin Thomas annexation number 1 concept plan. So the existing concept plan is along the top. Phase 1 is the mixed use development on the west side of Harvest Moon Drive and gravel mining. Phase 2 is that same mixed use development and reclamation. And then phase 3 is mixed use development. We are adding a phase to the concept plan. So there'll be 4 phases instead of 3. So again, the first phase remains the same. It's mixed use on the west side of Harvest Moon and gravel mining on the east side of Harvest Moon. The second phase, that first cell of the mining will be completed. So that portion of the gravel mine will be changed to mixed use corridor and mixed neighborhood. And the opportunity there is we've had some interest from commercial users on the corner, as you might guess, across from Costco at Highway 119 and Harvest Moon Drive. And we're also looking at the potential to take the True North project that's on the west side of the highway, the affordable housing project, and extend it onto the other side of the highway. So this will position this portion of the property so that it can be moved forward through the design review process. If we get a good commercial user, it'll be ready to go. And the same thing with the affordable housing. It's been very well received so far, so we've got our fingers crossed. And mining. So, and then the third phase will be that same mixed use development and reclamation. And then the fourth place will be the reconfigured land use designation for mixed use development. Next slide. Again, this is that same thing, just a little bigger. So existing concept has phase 1, which is mixed use and mining, phase 2, which is mixed use and reclamation, and phase 3, which is all mixed use. Next slide. This shows the phase development. So again, mining and regional commercial mixed use corridor, mixed neighborhood, and mining. So phase 3 would be those mixed uses and reclamation, and then phase 4 would be a complete mixed use on everything south of the highway. So the goal is to make it so that as the property is mined and reclaimed, it can be developed over time while the remainder of the property gets mined and reclaimed. Next slide. This is the rezoning. So you can see the underlying, this is a pretty current aerial underneath there. So next to Harvest Moon, that's the first phase of the rezoning, and that's to move that mined and reclaimed property out of the FDP and give it straight zoning for development. And then as the rest of the mining gets completed on the south side of the highway, there'll be a phase 2 rezoning. And that's that portion that's, you can see the existing ponds that aren't quite finished yet, and the portion that is between the ponds and the southern property line. Next slide. Okay, this is the colors on the map. So this is the, these are the zoning designations for the city. So on the left of the picture is the existing zoning. The property on the east side of Harvest Moon Drive is all planned unit development. With the first phase of development, some of the property on the east side of Harvest Moon will be designated for mixed use corridor and mixed neighborhood. The rest of that property will stay pink, and that's the PUD. Next slide. Okay, phase 2 rezoning will take the remainder of the property south of the highway and add a little more mixed neighborhood and to the mixed neighborhood that was zoned before, and then zone the remainder of the property as single family neighborhood. Next slide. This is the FDP for gravel mining amendment. So there's an existing FDP for the property for all of Irwin Thomas annexation number 1. So you can see on the top is the phase 1 FDP amendment. So the red area would be removed from the FDP and the remainder of the property would continue to be mined and reclaimed. Number 3 would be the area in red on the left side of the below, and that area would be removed from the FDP after it's mined and reclaimed. The remainder of Irwin Thomas annexation number 1 that is located north of the highway will stay in the PUD until it's mined and reclaimed. So you can see that on both. On the mining plan, everything north of the highway still shows up as the mining cells. And on the reclamation plan, everything north of the highway still shows up as a reclamation. That's included in the existing FDP. Next slide. Back to Jennifer. Thank you for your attention.
Great, thanks, Barb. So as you can see from Barb's presentation, this is certainly a complex project. So there is a lot of nuance and there are a lot of moving parts. So I just wanted to reiterate what our next steps would be. The first step after this neighborhood meeting would be submittal of a formal application for these 4 application types. Followed by that would be review by the Development Review Committee. There would be notice of application to adjacent to property owners within a 1,000-foot radius, as well as signs posted on the property. Once the DRC has finished their review and made a recommendation, it would then go before Planning and Zoning Commission for public hearings. They would be a recommending body making a recommendation to City Council. Again, there would be notice to the public via mailed notices and posted signs. Following Planning and Zoning Commission, it would then go to City Council, which is the decision-making body for these types of development applications. So again, there would be another round of notice to the public, mailed and posted, as well as, much like Planning and Zoning Commission, posted in the newspaper as well, and a public hearing would be held. So the next opportunities to speak in public about this project would be at Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. Once an application is submitted and we have an application under review, you're welcome to contact staff at any time. We're always happy to answer your questions and get you any additional information you're looking for. So as part of our development review process, we would be looking at any necessary improvements that would be needed to our streets, our water lines, etc. And if the City Council approves this group of applications, it would then go to infrastructure permitting, construction, and things of that nature. So it's definitely not something that would happen overnight. There's quite a bit of work to be done here. Next slide. All right, with that, we are moving into our questions and comments. So just general ground rules for public comment. We have 3 minutes per speaker. We follow the City Council's rules for public comment. It will ask you to state your name and where you live. We do ask that you keep questions and comments related to the current proposal. And as always, be respectful of everyone, including other speakers, applicant team, and city staff. So with that, next slide. I will turn it over to Dallas, who will talk about what to do next.
Sure thing. So we're going to take a 5-minute break here. If you are watching on our live stream, now is your time to call in. You're going to dial the toll-free number 1-888-788-0099. When prompted, enter the meeting ID 825-0837-5297. Again, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be back with any callers for questions. See you in a few. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, folks. We've got about 30 seconds left on our timer. I see that we do have a couple of callers here. Callers, if you are on the Zoom right now, please make sure to mute your live stream. I'll be addressing you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. And if you have the live stream going, we'll be getting some feedback. So make sure to listen to me through the Zoom. We got about 15 seconds left if any other callers would like to call in. If not, we'll be back in just a sec. Okay, that is our 5 minute mark. We do have 2 callers. Let me just make sure I get your numbers here. So callers, as I said, I'll be calling on you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. To unmute, please hit *6 on your device. We're going to start with caller 019. Caller 019,
And
please hit.
just real quick, typically as well, what we do with public comment is we will let all of the speakers ask their questions or make their comments, and then we'll respond after everyone has spoken.
Yes. Caller 019, I see you're unmuted. Would you mind stating your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Lawrence Bashir, and I live at 2 Western Sky Circle.
Perfect. Thanks, Lawrence. You got 3 minutes. Go for it.
I had a question. I saw that in the new Phase 3 picture, okay, and if you could pull that back up again, that'd be great. The larger one was really nice, where they showed the rezoning of the 2 parcels just to the, I guess, east of Harvest Moon Drive. I need to do anything else on the video to get it to play, or is someone?
Next slide, Dallas.
One more?
One more down. There you go. Is this the one you were talking about, sir?
I'm looking at the live stream, and I don't. There you go. I think now it's moving. Okay, I see it now. Okay, yeah. So in the previous, like here, okay, this is a great use. This is a good spot to stop right here. In the upper picture, in Phase 1, they show the little green bars here bounding the gravel mine development, and in Phase 2 now they show where they're rezoning. And in Phase 3 also where they're rezoning stuff. They're still doing gravel mining there. But I noticed they lost the separation between the gravel mine area and those 2 new zoned areas. Is that just a mistake on the drawing? Now, I'm talking about the large green bars that separate the gravel mine. I think it's berms is what they're supposed to be denoting there.
Barb, if you'd like to go ahead and jump in on that, since we only have 2 callers at this point, we can go ahead and
Yeah,
address
simple
that.
question. So until the mixed-use neighborhood is developed, those existing berms will stay there. Once somebody comes forward to develop in that mixed-use neighborhood, if the mining isn't finished, we'll move the berms to that edge. So they'll be screened. Actually, on the north side where the 2 cells are, those are mining cells. The ponds are completed, almost completed. So there really won't need to be a berm there because those will be finished and reclaimed. But active mining will be happening in cells 4 and 5. And if the mixed neighborhood develops before they're finished, yes, there'll be a berm there.
I can't see the numbers here. These pictures are too small for me, but I assume 4 and 5 are the ones right next to the purple zone and the kind of orangey zone that you're rezoning. Is that correct?
They're the 2 southern cells. The 2 northern cells will be ponds. The 2 southern cells will be mining.
But in Phase 2, it looks like they're still active mining and they're doing the development. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's where I was asking about. Usually it's good to have a separation there between the 2. So yeah, as long as they re-add something like that back in. And I also noticed on the picture, there's a tiny sliver of land at the bottom edge of the picture, just north of Quail, in between the homes that are existing, the 2 or the homes that are down there on Quail. Is that piece owned by anybody, or is that owned by the development?
That is owned by the development, and it's colored yellow. That's a right of way that connects the property down to Quail Road. Not planned for vehicular access, but could be a future trail connection.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. We will go on to our last caller. Caller with the last three digits 245. Caller 245. Please hit *6 on your device to unmute. Caller with the last three digits of your phone number 245. If you would please hit *6 to unmute.
There we go. Testing. Yeah, there we go.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes.
Hello. Hey, so I'm calling. I'm representing all the families that live on Quail for this
Do you
meeting
mind stating
tonight.
your
There's nobody
name and
else on-
address for the record first?
Yes, Jordan Hill, 11531 Quail Road.
Thanks, Jordan. Go for it.
Yeah, so we've been coming to the meetings for the last 10 years, and we've been being told for the last 10 years that, we've continued to bring up what's going to happen when the developments get to us, what did happen when the developments get to us. And what we've been hearing from planning and from the city council for the last 10 years is, well, they're not to you yet, so we're taking into the record all of the things that you're asking for, all the questions you have, but we really can't respond to those until we actually get to you. Well, based on the main, if you can go to the main picture, the big one, I guess it's the next slide, which is the biggest version of the of number 4 there or whatever. Can you go back to the big one with the proposed 19 AC, 23 AC, 84 AC?
So you are going to be a bit delayed, but I'm not.
Yeah, no worries. Cool.
Next slide, but next slide, Dallas.
Yeah,
You want one more?
slide.
The 4?
Yes.
The original 4? Okay.
This one or the
Okay. Well, next one. Yeah, no, one more.
slide 11 maybe.
Yeah, the big one. That one right there. The big one. Yeah, thank you. So now, the 19-acre brown and the 23-acre orange, which in phase 3 is all orange, but in phase 4 becomes brown and orange. I think this is the first time where you showed us slides where your developments are finally coming into our 100-year historical neighborhood, and you're going to be bordering up against us. I had a chance to talk to Drew Golden about 2 years ago, and he had told me that when it did happen, he still thought it was going to, at that point, he told me that he thought it was going to be until the gravel mining was done in 2029, but obviously that's coming quicker. He said that whenever it finally gets up to us and you annex right up to my property line, and I'm the furthest west, I and my neighbor are the furthest west property line, and he has the northern property line as well. Drew had told us that he thought that the city was going to mandate a minimum of a 75-foot buffer, and it could be as much as 150 feet. And so now that, the proposed neighborhoods are on our property lines, the first question I would have is, what is the city going to do in terms of mandating some kind of buffer zone? Or, are you going to mandate a buffer zone? And if so, what kind of buffer zone are you going to mandate when these developments come up to the properties of houses that have been in this area for 100 years?
I'm going to turn that over to Kristen Cody to answer specifically. What I can tell you is that we do have very specific, buffering standards within our code that are dependent upon adjacent uses. But I'm going to let Kristen speak regarding this project more particularly.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. So in reference to landscape standards, our landscape code does have specific requirements from buffering between uses and roadways and greenways and those items. So when the applications come in, when they're in review, we'll take a look at them and compare it with our landscape requirements in reference to buffers to see what would be required in that area.
Okay, well, yeah, that's great. But I mean, what's the minimum buffer? I mean, if you have different buffers, that's fine, but what's the minimum? Nobody's still told us, and again, for 10 years, you've been saying that you won't answer our questions until you're buffering us, and now you're buffering us. So what's the minimum it would be? I mean, obviously we're going to be at all your city council meetings from here on out. But can you give us the minimum that it's going to be? Can you tell us that tonight?
I certainly can, sir. The minimum buffer required in code, and not necessarily what you'd be looking at, because I'm sure understand, we have to start the review process and go through steps to have all the information. But the minimum buffer required by landscape code is 10 feet, and that would be between an adjacent parking area to single family residential.
So on the west line of all the existing houses, it would be a minimum of 10 feet.
That is the minimum buffer width that we currently have in code. That is correct.
And
Okay.
again, these buffers are very use dependent. It depends on what the adjacent uses are. It would depend on, on any specific site constraints. There might be some site considerations that have to be taken into consideration as well. At this stage of the planning process, since everything's still very conceptual, it's difficult to say exactly what the requirement would be. But what I can also tell you is that the standards may be different now than they were 10 years ago, because there was a new zoning code adopted in 2016. So the standards do evolve over time.
Cool. And then the other question, I guess, would be, do you have in the record, we've submitted it 4 times now, the Greenway or the Beltway plan that we submitted for the first time a decade ago, and we've submitted it basically every 2 years. We submitted it last at the city council meeting, where you kind of put forward the True North development plan. So it has been submitted in the last year and a half. And if you don't have it in front of you, we've been proposing that there be some kind of a greenway built around the existing agricultural development, which has been here for nearly 100 years. And I'm wondering, do you
Jordan,
have a copy
I've given you
of that?
a little extra time. Do you mind just having your
Cool.
last comments and questions?
Cool. Yeah. So do you have the Greenway plan that we've submitted 4 times in the last 10 years? And will you take that under consideration in your whatever you're going to be doing with these plans before approving them?
Sure, and thank you for that question. I don't in particular have that Greenway plan. The city obviously has it, as you've already submitted it. But what I would suggest, because in reference to this project, it's something you wish that we have for consideration, that you submit that as a comment to me. I will keep it in the comment file for this project. I will provide it to the applicants, to the Planning Commission, and City Council, all for consideration and processes. So, I mean, the city obviously has it as you have submitted it. But if you would like to submit it directly to me as a comment, I think that would be worthwhile on this project.
Could you send me your email, or could you tell me your email address so I can just get that?
It'll
right
be
now?
on the contact slide just after this.
We'll have it posted momentarily.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordan. All right. With that, I'll get us to our final slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Dallas. So again, if you have any further questions after this meeting, you can contact either myself or Kristen Cody. Kristen is at kristen.cote@longmontcolorado.gov. I would suggest contacting her first. If for some reason you can't get in touch with her, feel free to reach out to me and we'll try to get you some answers. With that, Barb, would you have any last comments to make before we call it a meeting?
No, just say thank you. And at the beginning of the presentation, there's a link to this PowerPoint presentation on a PDF of this presentation in a Dropbox folder. So if somebody wanted to go look at it outside the live stream and look at the presentation carefully, there's a link on Kristen's presentation to a PDF of this presentation there.
Great. Thank you so much, Barb. I'd like to thank Dallas. I'd like to thank all of our staff members who were on hand in case there were technical questions that arose, as well as the other members of the applicant team. As I noted, this meeting will be available for future viewing on the City of Longmont YouTube channel. And as always, you are welcome to reach out to any of the staff members or the applicant regarding this application, regarding the development proposals as well. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time and thank Dallas for his smooth running of the meeting, and wish everyone a good evening.